All right, good morning, everyone. So today we want to continue on a series that we've been doing since last week. It's a 3-message series. We did a Peace Starts With Me intro, Peace Starts With Me intro last week. And today we wanted to cover the second part, which is the principles of peace. So let's begin with a recap of what is Peace Starts With Me. So last time, actually, maybe I can ask the audience, since most of you were here last week, what do you remember? What is Peace Starts With Me? Anyone? Yes, you. Oh, good one. I'll repeat it, yeah, because it's hard to hear. She said that I am a divine being and I can make a difference. This was a very important part of the perspective that we promote in Peace Starts With Me, is that each of us are divine beings and we have the power to make a difference. Okay, any other thoughts or remember what points were from? Yes? Right. Right. So in order to achieve peace, we need to really work together. Beyond differences in race, nationality, backgrounds, ethnicity, there is this principle of reciprocity where we need to work together to create peace. Any final thoughts? Yes, one more. Within me. Right. So we're going to go into this point a little bit more today, but a big part of the Peace Starts With Me vision is understanding that in order to create peace, it first starts within me, myself. If I want to create a peaceful environment, a peaceful world, it first starts with peace within me. And this is really important because it's about taking responsibility for the problems that we see around us. And instead of blaming others, it's about me taking the first step in resolving the conflict that I see around me. Okay, so that's a short recap. So I want to go deeper today into the principles of peace and make it very tangible and real for you. So I want you to reflect, when do you feel most at peace? When do you feel most at peace? Yes. When you're relaxed and not stressed out. And can you tell us, when do you feel most relaxed and not stressed out? That depends. Give me one example. Someone said, in your bed. Yes? When you go for walks. Okay, so when you go for walks, Irmgard feels most at peace. Yes? When you've accomplished something, that's interesting. Okay. So Dr. Beebe says that when he accomplishes something, he feels at peace. Interesting. Anyone else? When do you feel at peace? Yes, Eric. Right here, right now. Very good. Very good. Yes, I mean, that is our intention, actually, that when you come to our Sunday gatherings, that you can feel at peace through the music, through the people around you. That's what we're trying to create, actually, a place where you can feel at peace. All right, very good. So let me ask you, going a little bit deeper, those are different situations where you feel at peace. What really is the essence of peace? What's the common ground between taking a walk, achieving things, being here at service, what is the common essence of peace in each of those situations? Someone who hasn't spoken yet. Yes. Mind-body harmony. Interesting. You must have read the textbook. Okay. I believe the essence of peace is harmony. Now, typically, when we think of peace, it's a very passive. Even if you look in the dictionary, what is peace? It's like lack of disturbance. It's like silence, non-conflict. That's what peace is defined as in the dictionary. But we believe that peace is actually much more active. Harmony is not something that is passive. Harmony is a dynamic relationship between two entities, right? So in order to create harmony, it requires active intention, not just passive meditation, silence, which actually in one sense is active, right? Because you're actually in meditation, you're quieting your mind, and you're really having this relationship between having your mind be subject over your physical body. Your physical body might be irritated or wanting to move or thinking about all sorts of things. But you're in meditation, you're actively telling your mind to stay quiet, be calm. It's an active intention to create this harmony between mind and body. Dr. Beebe mentioned, accomplishing something. That gives him a sense of peace. Why that is because when you put your mind on something and you follow through and you actually achieve what you set out to do, there's this sense of unity and harmony between your intention and your actions. Whenever you're able to do that, you can sense this sense of accomplishment, achievement, of oneness between your mind and your body. So that's one form of harmony. Irmgard mentioned walking in nature. The reason why we feel peace when we're in nature is because God designed nature to be in harmony by default. The more you study biology, you understand that there's such a dynamic relationship between everything that exists in nature. Even within each plant, within each animal, the dynamics between the cells, even our own body. It's amazing how much goes on in your one body to make it function. And then there's the complication of the ecosystems, where the animals, birds, air, everything works in harmony for its lasting sustainability. So that's why when you spend time in nature, you're subconsciously absorbing this harmony that exists in nature. And that resonance of that energy in nature is what you can actually also feel and find peace through being in nature. Actually, God created all of this for us to enjoy. Okay. Yes, thank you, God. Now, there's one more element. Eric, you mentioned being here, right? What is it about here at New Jersey Family Church that gives you that sense of peace and harmony? Well, number one, I would say the beautiful music from our New Jersey Family Church band. I believe they actually create harmony with the notes, the music, the drums, the guitar, the vocalist. All of that is an example of harmony. Harmony within the band, right? Harmony with the notes. That's an example of really creating a sense of peace through music. Also, we intentionally spend time to greet each other. Why is that? It's because through greeting each other, greeting your neighbor, saying good morning, hi, nice to see you again, you're creating harmony in relationships with others. So everything in our service is designed to create this sense of peace and harmony. Okay? So the essence of peace, whether it's within or in relationships or with nature, is about creating harmony. So this leads us to the next question, which is, what is the source of peace? Where does all of this peace, all of this harmony originate from? Any guesses? Someone who hasn't shared. Yes, Mr. B. Heavenly Parent. Oh, you must have looked at the books as well. Yes. We believe that God, the Creator, is the source of peace and harmony. Right? If you think about it, God, this is a relatively new understanding of a realm of God's heart, which is God not just as Father God, but God, our Heavenly Parent, both Father and Mother. Okay? And this is something that one of the co-founders of Family Federation, the Mother of Peace, Dr. Hak Ja Han Moon, has really disclosed and testified to God being both a father figure and a mother figure. If you think about everything that was created, there's this duality that exists, right? Everything. In humans, we have men and women. In animals, male, female. In plants, we have the stamen and pistil, which through interaction allows for this duality. That means that the source, whatever that source is, must have also these dual characteristics. Does that make sense? You cannot create anything that does not already exist within you. Same thing with God. God could not have created both masculine and feminine entities if God, him and herself, didn't have both a masculine and feminine nature. So, if you understand that, if we accept that God is the creator, this divine source is the creator of all things, and if we can observe through nature that all things has this duality, and that God created things in harmony, then we can also deduce that God is a source of harmony. At least that was God's intention. Now, of course, if we look around us, everything's not necessarily in harmony. Maybe here for Sunday from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m., there's harmony. But when you go back home, or when you go back to your old car and it's broken down, that's not in harmony, right? And then that makes you a little frustrated, and then you feel out of harmony in your own mind and body, right? So harmony doesn't automatically exist. There's an intention for harmony, but it's not automatic. It actually requires effort to create this harmony. But we believe that if God is the source of harmony and peace, then we really need to tune into God's original intention for us. Because we believe and trust that God actually wants a peaceful world. Okay? Something went wrong. Humans we kind of messed it up a little bit. But the intention that God had was for a peaceful world. So in order for us to recreate peace in ourselves, in relation with others, and in the world, we need to go back to the source. back to God and understand what was God's original plan for us. What was God's original design for us to create peace and harmony? Okay? So let us go to the Bible now. Many of you are familiar with this verse, but let's read it. Genesis 1:28, and God blessed them, and God said to them, be fruitful and multiply, and fill the earth and subdue it, and have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the birds of the heavens, and over every living thing that moves on the earth. So God gave this commandment to the first human ancestors and gave them this specific guidance. These three things: be fruitful, multiply, and have dominion. So we're going to rephrase these three commandments into peace language for you to understand. So be fruitful, I'm going to redefine as co-create peace within. So before I go into these three restatements of the three great blessings, I want to explain this word co-create. Actually, I'd like to ask the audience, any thoughts on what it means to co-create? To make our children. Okay, that's one way of co-creating, actually giving birth to your children. Yes. To create with a partner. To create with a partner. But which partner is co-creation referring to? God. That's why the capital C, by the way. Co-create means to actually do everything together with God, with God's intention, with God's heart, with God in mind. That's what it means to co-create. Actually, human beings are very special. Among all creation, we were the only created beings that were given the ability to also be creative. Think about it. What other animal, they function, but can create something out of nothing? Can monkeys do that? A little bit, okay. I'm talking about not just mess things up. I'm talking about creating things, okay? Actually, human beings are the only created beings that can also create. That was the gift that God gave us. And so we have this special power, each of us. And it's important that we tap into that special power, but do it in harmony with God. Okay, and that's what we mean by co-create. So be fruitful means co-create peace within. Now, what does that mean? How do you co-create peace within yourself? Let's ask you guys. How do you co-create peace within? What does that mean? Yes. No, Ermgard, sorry. I was asking Mr. Steven Sprague. Act intentionally. Have an intention for your action and follow those intentions. Peaceful actions. I hear a phone ringing behind me around here. Okay, so act intentionally. Can you give me an example of that?
Yes. Everything my wife tells me to do, I have to do.
Oh, okay. Everything my wife tells me to do, I do. Okay, so that is more the second principle of co-creating peace with others. Oh, I see. Okay, got it. So she guides you and you listen and you practice this co-creating peace within. And you mentioned two things: be nice, be gentle. Okay, let's do this. Take a moment to reflect on when was the last time you felt irritated or angry? This morning. When was the last time you felt irritated or upset? Actually, last night, I was picking up my daughter from her friend's house, and it was 10 o'clock. And she asked me, oh, can you pick me up? I said, yes. What time? She said, 10 o'clock. So I said, okay, I'll be there at 10 sharp. Be ready downstairs. So I get there at 10, and I say, I'm outside. And it took her another 4 minutes to get outside. And I told her to be there by 10 p.m. So I was frustrated. Okay, I was frustrated because I told her, you know, when you ask somebody to do a favor for you, the least you can do is be on time. So her response to me was, oh, I texted you to let you know I'll be 3 more minutes. So I looked at my phone, and there the text was, I'll be there in 3 more minutes. So in the moment, I could have continued the argument and said, you know, well, you still should have been there on time, right? But it took me a moment to reflect, and although I probably should have just been gentle and apologized, I just said, okay, I'm not gonna continue. And we drove home quietly, and then she said, thank you for driving, picking me up. And I said, mm-hmm. So I didn't do it completely the best way, but it took a moment of reflection and self-control to really create peace in that moment, which I could have made more conflict if I wanted to, right? So it's these small things, but it really requires, in a moment of frustration or anger, to take a pause and reflect and really think about God's perspective, right? What could I be grateful for in that moment? I'm glad my daughter was only 4 minutes late. Or I'm glad that my daughter said thank you. I'm glad that she's safe. You know, I'm glad that she has friends to hang out with. You know, so there's many different things that you can think about in the moment that can shift your energy and perspective on the situation. So peace and harmony is an active effort and intention. So when we say co-create peace within, it means you choosing in moments of frustration and anger to create peace first within yourself. Does that make sense? Okay. So that's the first area, is by being fruitful, it's about mastery of your own self-control and maturity in dealing with situations. Let's go to the second one. This one is, there's a quote from Dr. Hak Jahan Moon. True peace begins with the attitude and practice of filial piety towards our Heavenly Parent. Okay, this is a deeper point here. Actually, Mother Moon is saying that really peace begins with an attitude of humility and attendance towards God. Filial piety, this is interesting. Yeah, there's so much we can go into this one phrase, but I'll keep it one point that sticks out for me. Oh, you wanted to comment, Irmgard?
Actually, if I may.
Yeah?
When Steve said intention, that was intention, I was thinking of children.
Children.
They're small, right?
Right.
They always act with intention. Yet also their original nature is very alive. And so I was thinking, where did we could lose this, right? Because of our environment. But when we are older, we can recreate it or try because of our heavenly parent. Or actually as parents, guide our children right away with this knowledge, right, of this realization. They will lose it because they will include God, like Truman said, with that. Because they had figured right into their parents.
Right. So this interesting relationship of peace and filial piety. As parents, we would want our children to be filial to us. It'd be so simple to create harmony if they just listened to what we say, right? It'd be all peace and flowers and everything. But then you have to ask yourself, do you do what God says to you? Do you follow what your conscience tells you to do all the time? Not all the time, right? It's kind of the same thing, right? But God still loves us. God still provides the sun, the air, the rain, both to good and bad, unconditionally. Similarly, as parents, we need to unconditionally love our children, despite the fact that they don't listen to us all the time. But also, if we want our children to practice filial piety to us, we need to first model that in relationship to our own parents and ultimately to God, our heavenly parent. And when we surrender ourselves as children of God and ask for God's guidance and help, that actually shows an amazing model for our children to do the same towards you as parents. It's amazing. It's like as parents, we all, as young parents at least, actually any parent, we always, well, I won't say always, but many of us get upset and frustrated at our children. But again, we need to always reflect back, how am I doing as a child of God towards our heavenly parent? And the more you focus on this, as Mother Moon is saying here, peace begins with the attitude and practice of filial piety towards our heavenly parent. The more we practice that, the more that becomes a model for our own children. Okay? That's also why peace begins with me. I know it's not easy. Whew. It's not easy. All right. Let's go to the second one. Multiply, co-create peace with others. So tell me, what does that look like? Give me some examples of co-creating peace with others. Anyone had an experience this week of co-creating peace with others? You are all part of the peace family. Yes. Gathering of friends. You had a gathering of friends? And you did that this week? When was that? Yesterday. Okay. How many people gathered? 6 or 7. And where? In your backyard. Okay. So Mrs. Yashiro, Jennifer, she actually hosted a gathering of 6 or 7 friends together and had a nice chance to share and listen to each other. So that's a great example of co-creating peace with others. Anyone else have an experience? Yes, Mr. BB.
Yeah, also yesterday I attended the UPF event.
Okay.
It's National Peace Day.
Mm.
It was very wonderful events and the speakers, different backgrounds, and I think just talking about peace, the elements of peace, creates the atmosphere in the room.
Mm.
At the
Aw, look at that. So they had an event yesterday at Elizabeth, New Jersey, a UPF, Universal Peace Federation event, where they talked about peace, but they had speakers from different backgrounds talk about peace. And at the end of that event, they held hands together and they sang, "Let there be peace on earth." Yeah, let there be peace on earth. So, yeah, it's amazing, right? That's beyond the local friends level, but this is at the community level, having leaders from different backgrounds come together and really talk about and share about peace. That's a great example of co-creating peace with others. And I think the best example was Stephen Sprague here, co-creating peace with your spouse. Just listen to your wife, and you'll have a happy life. Actually, harmony requires a give and take action. It's not just one side listening to the other. It is a mutual respect and listening to each other that creates this peace. Okay, we can all do this. It's not easy, but it's important to make effort to do this. Okay, and finally, actually, let's read a quote here. If each individual and nation begins to look out for the other first, working together with the other, the problems of modern society will be resolved. This is Reverend Sun Myung Moon. And this is a really revolutionary concept. Yeah, he's very smart. Actually, he's really filial, I would say, to God's principle, which is living for the sake of each other. It's a lot easier to say than do, but this concept is about, before I think about myself and my needs, I think about the needs of the other person, right? This is so powerfully true in all relationships. If you really think about the needs of your spouse or your children or your friend or your neighbor before your own, then you can actively create peace. And according to Reverend Sun Myung Moon, all problems of modern society will be resolved. Even past problems, interesting. Yeah, maybe there could be healing of past problems if we were to practice this simple, not easy principle of living for the sake of each other. Okay, finally, have dominion, co-create peace with our environment. So, any thoughts on what that looks like? How do you co-create peace with your environment? Let's go for here. Clean up. Clean up where? Oh, littering outside. Just clean up around the environment. Okay, very good. Karen?
You see a problem, you see the garbage is all, sometimes you don't understand, so you take responsibility to do it yourself. If you don't have to do it.
Okay.
In the church.
In the church.
In our church, it's so nice out there now. When somebody began to organize garbage and put garbage out in the right place, and other people followed and supported, and now it's very neat.
Okay. So Karen is saying that the garbage is very neat in our church now. Somebody took initiative and other people were able to follow. So keeping your garbage neat, that's definitely an example of co-creating peace. Let's go here.
Assuming ownership from the time we were independent to independent and interdependency. Assuming ownership, that's
Okay, and what's an example of assuming ownership over your environment when you're
being able to interact with people because you have something to offer.
interact with people? But we're talking about specifically our environment. People was the second principle, which is with others. This is with the environment. Yeah, all things. That's what we're talking about here in the third realm. Yes?
I think because science is the study of the physical world, the harmony of religion and science can be very important. Because science at the moment is considered like almost like an enemy.
Interesting. Okay. So he's sharing that there should be harmony between science and religion. And instead of science being the enemy of religion, it should actually be a complementary partner in helping us create a better world through understanding and applying science. That's very good. We'll take one more in the back. Sorry, I'm grabbing. Yes?
In the book of Deuteronomy, God wrote down that if you find a bird's nest in the field, you can take the eggs, but don't take the bird. Leave the bird to lay more eggs and give you food in the future.
Interesting.
God is an environmentalist.
All right, so there's a verse in Deuteronomy that says, when you find eggs in a nest, you can take the eggs, but don't take the bird. It's interesting. I don't remember that verse. But anyway, but what I understand is that what that means is sustainable farming. You know, anyone heard of fish farming? But it's about creating and cultivating animals in a sustainable way so that you can have enough for yourself, but also preserve the environment. So this is important. Let's actually read a passage. The relationship between humankind and nature is described as a symbiotic ecosystem created by God. The nurturing of this relationship through love and care for all creation is emphasized as essential for the well-being of both humanity and the environment. So basically, the Mother of Peace is saying, hey guys, let's take care of nature so that we can live together in harmony. If we abuse nature or take advantage of nature, it can actually ultimately harm us as well. Yeah, it does harm us as well. I mean, there's many concerns now for climate change. And some countries are really feeling the effect of that, where due to the warming in some areas, the iceberg melting and the water level is rising in certain areas. Certain small island countries, the land is disappearing because of the rise of the sea level. So these are some real issues affecting people around the world. So if we want to continue to enjoy nature and this physical planet that we live on, we need to take responsibility over taking care of nature in a way that's sustainable. Okay, and that's what the Mother of Peace is emphasizing, is that we need to take responsibility over our environment. All right. So those were the 3 principles of peace, just to recap. Starting with peace within, then peace with others, and peace with our environment. So I'd like you to take the next 4 minutes to just reflect on what was one point that really stood out to you, and please share with a neighbor or continue to reflect on your own. Okay, let's take 4 minutes. right. Let's bring it back. So, yeah, let me hear from the audience. Any insight from today that stood out for you? During the last 30 minutes, any insights? Yes. It's okay. Mm. Okay, very good. So peace is not passive, but it's dynamic, and it requires intention and active kind of living for the sake of others. That was one point that stood out. Very good. Anyone else? Yes, all the way in the back.
Also, peace is substantial.
Peace is substantial, right. Right. Peace is substantial, not just an ideal, but it's actually something you can do in practice. Peace is an active thing you can do. Okay? On that note, I do want to go to the next point, which is at the end I'll go into it, but we'll come back to that point at the very end. So next week, we're going to do the final session on this series of peace. Is going to be called Peacemakers. And we're going to talk about role models of peace and how we can also learn from these historic role models of peace. Make sure you subscribe. Actually, we have Peace Starts With Me t-shirts in the back. So if you'd like to pick one up for a donation, you can get and receive merchandise and promote. We're in a Peace Starts With Me campaign now, so let's wear it with pride and share the message of Peace Starts With Me. And this is the final question for you guys. What can you do this week to co-create peace? Again, someone said peace is substantive. It's not just an ideal. So what can you do this week to co-create peace? Now, since we already had you guys do a reflection, I'm going to give you the answer. Okay? How can you co-create peace this week? I want to give you a challenge. And I'm going to try this myself. I'll let you know how it goes. I want you each to ask somebody, one person, this one question. By the way, I got this inspiration from Merlin here. I was having a conversation with her. And she said, ask somebody, is there anything I can help you with? Can you all do that? Ask one person, is there anything I can help you with? I mean, not just ask, you have to do what they ask you to do. But still ask. And then asking is important. I guess you can still decide whether you'll do it or not. But first step is ask. So how many of you can commit to asking somebody, is there anything I can help you with? Okay, we have about 70% of the room. Okay, if it's hard to commit, I understand. But okay. Even 70%, I'll take that. So let's try it out this week and become co-creators of peace through actively generating this harmony. Okay, so let's do that this week and let me know how it goes. It will be an exciting testimonials. In fact, the best testimonies we'll invite up to share next week on Sunday, okay? So if you have a story to tell, please challenge asking somebody, is there anything I can help you with? I think my wife is going to be surprised. All right. Thank you very much. You've been a great audience.